Hi guys, this is R.A. Sweeney here to talk to you a little bit more about the book Praying with the Writings as part of the Praying with the Bible series. Normally, I like to bring you guys an excerpt in terms of what I have been writing in the last week, kind of one of my favorites from the previous week. This last week, I was doing a lot of different things on a couple other projects, and so I didn't really have time to do too much work there. And really, I was working on Daniel chapter 6, and the whole thing kind of goes together, so it would have been a whole lot to bring together. So rather than reading it, wanted to just bring some excerpts from it or some teasers from it, I suppose. So it's just kind of cool. In that story, you have Daniel is working for the king of Persia and is super righteous and doing awesome things and just successful at everything he does, and everybody gets jealous. And so they make the rule about not being able to pray to anybody but the king. The king gets tricked into signing the decree, and then Daniel ends up praying anyway, which I wrote a little bit about. That was really kind of cool to me that he prayed openly. And I think normally we look at that as like, oh, look, he just, he's sticking it to the man. Like, he's not going to follow that rule and he doesn't care who knows. And I really don't think that's what was going on. I mean, Daniel and the king had a really good relationship. They seem to have, had respect for each other. And so I think it was more, sorry, king, I can't obey this law, and I'm not going to try to hide that from you. I'm not going to insult you by trying to hide that from you. And so I think it was a sign of respect for the king that he was doing it openly, not a sign of defiance. So talked a little bit about that, and then we kind of moved into he gets arrested, he gets thrown into the lion's den, and I'd mentioned in there, like, I'd been thinking about this passage for a very, very long time to talk about in the series that I'm doing. And when I finally got there, it doesn't actually show that he prayed. It doesn't say he prayed. It doesn't use the word prayer. There's nothing in there where the king actually addresses God specifically. But the way that the language is depicted, I mean, he was up all night fasting and he wasn't allowing himself to be distracted by anything. He starts out by telling Daniel, like, I hope that your God does protect you. And then he comes back the next day and says, hey, did it work? Like, did your God protect you the way that I thought he would? So we talked a little bit about the prayer there too. Like I said, I didn't feel like I could take one or the other without doing both, and it would have been a really long video, but wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about it, share a little of what I wrote there, and hopefully it was still a blessing. Next week, I think we'll be back to how we normally do it with me reading an excerpt. But for now, that's kind of what I was working on with a couple entries from Daniel chapter 6. Thanks, guys.